Can the Lions avoid a little stubbed toe on a Monday night against the Raiders? Let's discuss it on the Thursday crossover.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody. It's a Thursday crossover edition of Locked On Raiders with your boy Q and Locked On Lions with Matt Dery. Locked On Lions and Locked On Raiders today on the Thursday crossover is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. 5-2 Lions, 3-4 Raiders. Las Vegas for Monday Night Football. Lions' first Monday night game at home at Ford Field since 2018. Q, great to see you, my friend. These are two teams kind of in a weird spot after what has happened the last couple of weeks. I know in Vegas, everybody wants McDaniels gone.
Yeah.
Here, everybody's so happy with Dan Campbell, but a really bad performance last Sunday. Before we get into top storylines, how would you kind of gauge what's going on in Vegas right now?
It's really, man, it's really a lot of questions, right? I have more questions about this team than I have answers following that loss to the Bears on Sunday, right? I mean, they go into a game that you think is very winnable, and you know the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's right there in the division that the Lions are in, so you've seen them up close and personal. You know what they look like, and so I didn't think, especially with the backup quarterback, an undrafted free agent, Division II, that the Raiders would go in and squander an opportunity to get above 500 in their overall records, and they just kind of looked lethargic. They didn't look like they had any energy, weren't really interested in playing on Sunday. And so it just left me with so many questions. And of course, it's going to start with the head coach. It's going to, start with the guys that are on the offensive side of things. The defense allows 173 yards on the ground. Deontay Foreman looks like a Pro Bowl running back. I mean, it's just so much. It almost looked like the Bears were a really good team, and we know that's not the case. And I don't want to throw shade at them, but I mean, even Bears fans were like, whoa, okay, what is this going on? So there's just so many questions. And like you mentioned, man, everyone wants Coach McDaniels out of there. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the right answer is. I think that Mark Davis is committed to a 3-year deal basically with this staff to make sure that they have the opportunity to get this team right. But a few more duds like what you saw on Sunday, and that plan could change as far as I'm concerned.
Check us both out on our Locked On Lions and Locked On Raiders YouTube channels. Please subscribe. We appreciate you making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. All right, so we got a little bit on the Raiders. Top storyline, I guess, on the Lions side, Q, for us here in Detroit is it was a clunker last week.
Yeah.
And it was a really bad performance. And after folks like Stephen A. Smith at ESPN and others saying, oh, they're the best team in the NFL, I got them in my power rankings number one, a little bit of a reality check, certainly. Right. Sunday in Baltimore, because the Ravens really put it to him. Lamar Jackson did his thing, but really what surprised me was how pushed around the Lions got up, both up front with their offensive line. Goff was kind of under fire all day and under siege, and then on the defensive line as well. So to bounce back, to get that opportunity now, I think everybody's expecting that against the Raiders and how Vegas has played, but you never know on Monday night how this is going to go. But I still think at 5-2 with a bye week coming after this, you go in at 6-2, I think the Lions are going to be in decent shape. What about the storyline for you guys?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% with the Lions and their opportunity to go into the bye sitting there at 6-2. And I'll say this, I'll be full transparent. I was one that said, I'm going to be late to the Lions party, right? You got to show me that they're really a good team. I'm not just going to believe all the hype. And I'll tell you now, Matt, I've not only showed up to the party, but I went home and got my good clothes on, right? I think that they're a good team, and they had a bad day against a really good team in Baltimore, right? I mean, and those are going to happen, where the Raiders had a bad day against a really bad team in Chicago. So, the Raider fans would love to have that situation that the Lions fans are going through after having that bad loss. But yeah, the storylines when it comes to the Raiders, man, it's just, where is the offense? For me, where is the offense? You have Devontae Adams. You have Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing. You have a real comfortable number 2 in Jacoby Myers. You have a guy in Hunter Renfrow who's really good, but it cannot get any kind of action at all this season. So wouldn't be shocked to see him gone from Vegas sooner rather than later, before the trade deadline on October 31st. But there's so much firepower on the offensive side of things. I told anyone who would listen, Matt, that That's not going to be the problem for the Raiders this season. It's the offense. It's going to be, can the defense complement them? And boy, was I wrong. They haven't scored 20 points as an offense yet this season. And this is an offensive league, right? I mean, the NFL is an offensive league. They make sure that they have rules so the offenses can shine, and the Raiders cannot get anything going with their offense at all. They only got over 20 points once, and that was on the strength of a safety that Max Crosby and Bilal Nichols helped force at the end of the Patriots game. So that's the biggest storyline, and then of course, obviously, who's going to be at the quarterback position. I believe it's going to be Jimmy G, but he was out last week with a back injury, and he's already missed 2.5 games through 7 games. And, well, that's Jimmy G. Availability and best ability, and he doesn't have availability ever throughout the course of his career. So, really, when it comes to the Raiders, that's the biggest storylines as far as I'm concerned. But I think the Lions are in a good position, man. I think they're feeling good about themselves, even though they're coming off that tough loss.
All right, so real fast on a follow-up. If Garoppolo doesn't play Monday night, and obviously you and I are recording a little bit early in the week, but still, I mean, why go to Hoyer in the first place? I know O'Connell was.
Matt, it's got to be Aiden O'Connell, and I'll tell you why. I'm saying this very first and foremost because I was very much on the train of Hoyer. It should be Hoyer for one game, right? You don't want to throw the rookie in there yet because you want him to have 4 or 5 games in a row to see what he can do. I mean, just to kind of learn what this guy is, and I didn't think that was the time right there against the Bears. You're going up against an undrafted free agent. Why not put Hoyer out there for one game? Let him help you get above 500. He won't make any mistakes. And boy, was I wrong. And Raider Nation let me know about it. So look, no Hoyer, no Hoyer, no Hoyer. If it ain't Jimmy G, it better be Aiden O'Connell. If it ain't Aiden O'Connell, Matt, it could be you or it could be me. But it can't be Brian Hoyer because Raider Nation will not let me live that one down. Please believe.
It's amazing how, just that whole New England situation and they just kind of all stick together no matter when guys leave. Like if O'Brien goes to Houston, he brings some expats with him. When Patricia and Quinn came to Detroit, they brought all these former Patriots with them, and it didn't work out. Hoyer just playing for McDaniels. Was it the single worst thing you ever saw? Have you seen worse? How bad was it?
I mean, it was bad. It was just, and look, we know who Brian Hoyer is, but he came into the game in the second half against the Patriots when Jimmy G went to the hospital with the back injury, and he didn't sink the ship. And so, again, I don't think that Hoyer's going to ever wow anybody, but I figured that for one game, he can go in there, deliver the ball to the playmakers like Devontae, like Jacoby, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, and just not get in his own way, just not make any mistakes. But the thing was, he went in there and he locked in immediately on Devontae. So it's like, Devontae, 5 passes in a row. Then, hey, it's the Jacoby Myers show. Jacoby. Oh, let's go back to Devontae. And so it was so predictable that the Bears were like, okay, well, we know what's coming, so we're just going to jump this route. Oh, we're going to jump this route. So Jalen Johnson had a career day. I mean, I think he was the guy that was on the trade blocks until that game against the Raiders. Now the Bears are like, wait, hold on. We better hold on to that guy. He's fantastic. So, may have just got him a contract extension there in Chicago, but it just was a bad performance. He wasn't very good. And, now it's at the end of the day, if Jimmy can't play, now it's just kind of like, all right, just go to the rookie, see what he's got. Even if he has to start and stop, it's got to be better than what we saw from Brian Hoyer on Sunday.
What'll be interesting, too, and we're going to get to matchups coming up momentarily, but what would be very interesting about this entire situation is Monday Night Football, Lion fans are going nuts. They're so excited for this team. And you're right. I mean, Hoyer's bad. Yeah. But then if you put a rookie like O'Connell, who just is, a few months removed from playing in the Big Ten championship game, in what seemed like his 7th year of college, in that environment at Ford Field, that could be pretty dangerous for a rookie quarterback. But again, like you said, when you've got Jacobs, you've got Myers, Renfrow, and certainly Devontae, you'd figure there'd be some things for him to work with. But you're shaking your head. I
think that there's something for him to work with for sure. But what we saw when he started week 3 against the Chargers was, a rookie that was holding on to the ball a little bit longer, a guy who had preseason success. We've seen this a lot. A guy who's had preseason success. The fan base wants to see him because they saw what he did in the preseason. And it's, of course, going to translate to the regular season, right? And he's going to shine and he's going to be the next greatest thing. It doesn't always translate. So he got off to a bad start against the Chargers, didn't really play well, took a lot of sacks, held on to the ball too long. He did, to his credit, get better towards the second half of the game and the end of the game, then threw a fatal pick at the end that allowed the Raiders to lose that game against the Chargers week 3. So I mean, there's things to grow on. But again, at the end of the day, you know how it is. I mean, he's a rookie. He's on the road. Detroit's going to be angry coming off that loss in Baltimore. It's loud in the dome. I mean, the Detroit Lions defense is chomping at the bits to get back out there. Hutchinson's going to be, full steam ahead, peeling his ears back. I mean, you know everything that would be working against him. So ideally, Jimmy G is back. But after what you saw from Hoyer on Sunday, if Jimmy's not back, it's got to be the Aiden O'Connell show. And then you just hope for the best. That's all you can really do.
Let's get to some matchups. Q and I will do that coming up next. Lions and Raiders for Monday Night Football. Locked On Lions today, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Did the game go to a timeout? Time to order in, all right, and get food or whatever you need to deliver to your house at DoorDash. Whether it's halftime, 2-minute warning, whatever it is, DoorDash has got you. Whether it's pizza, wings, sodas, burgers, or even just buns on DoorDash, get it all delivered without missing the game, all right? Kick back at kickoff with an unbeatable deal on everything you need for your watch party or tailgate. And the great thing about DoorDash is it's not just your favorite restaurants and stores, but also retail and grocery as well. They're on the app, so you can shop everything you need to get game day ready. Get prepared before game day and get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app. Just enter the code LOCKED23. That's LOCKED 23. Subject to change, terms apply. It's our friends at DoorDash. Your boy Q, Locked On Raiders. Matt Dery, Locked On Lions. Lions and Raiders Thursday crossover right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Again, please subscribe and watch us on YouTube. Matchup-wise, Q, I'll start here for Lions and Raiders on the Detroit side. And obviously, when people say, oh, well, what do they know about the Raiders? They know, like you said, the Josh Jacobses of the world, right. Devontae Adams. But certainly on defense, it's the guy from Eastern Michigan and the guy that everybody knows around here, Max Crosby. I want to watch him against Penei Sewell on the right side and, of course, Taylor Decker on the left side. Because to me, and I think Lion fans will agree, it was really weird watching Penei struggle this past Sunday against the Ravens. Now, Baltimore's got a very good defense. You knew they were going to come after Jared Goff. But Penei Sewell is one of the best tackles in the league, whether he's playing the right side, whether he played the left side. Earlier this year when Decker got hurt, he did not have a good game. A couple of holding penalties. PFF graded him out okay, and better than I thought. But to go up against a guy that just has that kind of motor, that kind of skill set, Max Crosby, that'll be fun to watch. These are two good tackles. Has Max been moving around a lot, more on right or left side? What do you think of that matchup? And then what do you have in your arsenal?
He's usually on the right side, but he does move around. They've moved him around this year as opposed to previous years where he was just exclusively on the right side. So he has moved around a little bit. They're trying to put the rookie Tyree Wilson into better positions as well to try to give him an opportunity to, get after the quarterback and see what he can do. He picked up his first sack as a pro last week, and really it was on the last play of the half, and it was one of those. It was going to be a Hail Mary from Peterman, and it really wasn't the sack that you're looking for, but it's technically a sack. So he got his first one, but you can see he's starting to progress a little bit and get better and healthier from that foot surgery he had when he was at Texas Tech, when he finished out his college career. But yeah, Max is always going to be Max, and that's always a good matchup. Always look for 98 and see where he's at. But I'll tell you, when it comes to matchups, and I normally don't do this, but because it was such a bad performance on Sunday by the Raiders defense in general, I'm looking at the defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, who has made the move from the sideline to the booth this year. And it was really looking pretty good for a while. There's a few weeks where I kept saying that the Raiders defense was actually the strength of the team, which surprised me. And then they laid that egg on Sunday. And like I said, the effort didn't look like it was there. I actually asked defensive coordinator Patrick Graham about that on Tuesday. I said, did you see the effort and the energy that you wanted to see from your defense? And of course, he danced around it. He's not going to come out and say, yeah, it was there, or no, it wasn't. But I'll tell you right now, it wasn't. The energy was bad. The effort was bad. It looked like they were just kind of sleepwalking. So I just want to see Patrick Graham put his players in the best position to succeed against a Detroit Lions offense that is high-powered, that can score from anywhere on the field. I want to see how they come out in a hostile environment and have that energy and that effort that they didn't have a week ago, and see how they match up. Because again, Detroit, they're going to get after it. And I know that they saw the film. They saw the Raiders give up 173 yards on the ground, and they have dudes that can get it done on the ground. Right. And they have dudes that can get it done. Jared Goff could throw the ball around the yard as well. I mean, they're a two-headed monster right there. They're again, I don't have to compliment them more than I already am. That the team is they're dangerous. And coming off that loss to Baltimore, I think this is a huge challenge for this Raiders defense. So the matchup I'm looking at is really Patrick Graham. What could Patrick Graham do to set up his defense in the position to go up against that high-octane Detroit Lions offense? That's going to tell me a lot about this Raiders team, how they react to getting their teeth kicked in like they did on Sunday against the Bears.
Yeah, to get embarrassed by Tyson Bagent is not a
Right.
good thing. And I know that he's the new hotness and the league likes him. And certainly the Bears fans would rather have him than Justin Fields. But bottom line is now you're right. This is a step up in competition for the Raider defense. I liked how you guys played against the Packers and you kind of took away the middle of the field for Jordan Love. And that's what the Ravens did this past Sunday against the Lions. It's the first game I can remember in a while where Jared Goff looked for that first option over the middle and it wasn't there. I mean, second half after they're down 35-0, it started to get there and they got St. Brown a lot of fantasy points. But all in all, in that first half with Mike McDonald, former Michigan defensive coordinator, kind of beloved here, going back to the other Harbaugh brother, he really took away the middle of the field for Goff. And that's probably what you need to do and hope he can hit a deep shot or something down the sideline to Jameson Williams, who's a train wreck here, kind of already to start his career. Maybe this is the game he breaks out, but that will be interesting. And like you said, the rhythm of the Lion offenses, especially at home on that fast track in the dome, they've done pretty well. Raider linebackers played really well in that Packer game.
They did. Divine Diablo left the game last week against the Bears, and so Luke Masterson, who was a former undrafted free agent, came in, and Robert Spillane, he was the free agent they picked up from the Steelers. He's been really a good player. Masterson is a pretty good player as well. The linebackers haven't been the weak link of the defense like I thought they were going to be. They've actually been pretty good, but it's funny because they did play the middle of the field well against the Packers. That's usually their Achilles heel. Right? I mean, that's for years we've talked about why is the middle of the field so wide open, and they did pretty well against the Packers. So if they could do that against the Lions, that'll be a step in the right direction. Maybe Patrick Graham has seen that on film and is able to see get the bird's eye view from up top where, okay, hey, let's make sure that that's covered up and take that option away and live with the other options. But again, the Lions have weapons all over the field. I really admire the way that they've constructed their offense and Jared Goff with that blue collar, approach, and the fact that, he was basically thrown in as a consolation prize from the Rams. Like, okay, here, and you could take Jared Goff, and Jared Goff has just gone and thrived in Detroit under Dan Campbell. I can really appreciate, and I was a fan of him when he was coming out of college at Cal. So I'm happy that he's having success there in Detroit. I really am.
5-2 Lions, 3-4 Raiders. How do the Lions win this game? How do the Raiders win this game? And predictions. We will do that coming up next. But first, we got to tell you about our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can hop on and join, all right, as you snap into the action with the NFL season at FanDuel by getting $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose with FanDuel. If you've been thinking about joining, no better time to get in on the action than right now. Got the World Series coming up, Diamondbacks and Rangers. Who thought it was going to be that? NFL on Thursday night, all of that right here at FanDuel. The app is easy to use, spreads, player props, over-unders, they got it all and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, kick off the NFL season with our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. And what about the Jase case? Yes, problems everywhere. All right. Not only in this country, but overseas, unrest, fires in Hawaii, hurricanes and tornadoes. You want to be protected. All right. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jase case is great. Jase Medical offers this Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. Choose the meds that best fit you and your family's unique needs. All right. Jase is continually working to expand their medication offerings. So please check them out. Go to Jase Medical. That's JASE medical.com. Enter the code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at JASE medical.com. Matt Dery, your boy Q, Locked On Lions, Locked On Raiders Thursday. Crossover be the Lions hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. The 3-4 Raiders coming up Monday night at Ford Field at 8:20. Of course, ESPN audience, place should be going crazy. IQ, how do the Raiders pull this off? What would 8.5-point favorites from FanDuel, 8.5-point underdogs right now from FanDuel? How do they spring the upset?
Well, I'll tell you, it's gonna have to have a heavy dose of the run game. And unfortunately for the Raiders this year, there hasn't been a heavy dose of the run game, right? They have the defending rushing champion in Josh Jacobs. He hasn't gone over 100 yards yet this season, right? And we know about the holdout, trying to get the contract. It goes further than that, right? It's way deeper than that. The offensive line and him aren't clicking. I mean, he's having to make a cut before he really even gets the ball in his hands. I mean, he's 4 yards back in the backfield, and he's already making his first cut where that shouldn't be the scenario. And, the offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi, he tells us, and Coach McDaniels tells us they're close. They're close to having a big game on the ground. And, Josh will get a 4-yard carry that should have been 15, but, one guy missed an assignment on a block, or Josh didn't hit this certain spot. He didn't pick up the block the way he was supposed to. It's always, they're close. They're close. They're close. Okay, well, look, if you want to go into Detroit and beat the Lions, you got to be more than close. You've got to go out there and you've got to start executing. You've got to really find a way to keep that ball out of Jared Goff and that Lions team's hands. I mean, it's just simple as that. And the run game is going to help do that. It's not going to eliminate that, obviously, but it'll help. Not to mention, Matt, that the Raiders offense isn't built to be the team that throws the ball 45 times a game. It's just not. They have to be balanced, right? There's certain teams in the league. I can see Kansas City and I can see Patrick Mahomes drop back 45 times. It's not a big deal. We saw Kirk Cousins drop back 45 times on Monday Night Football in Minnesota, never get sacked, and he was fine. The Raiders aren't built like that. They're not that team that could just throw the ball around the yard and think that they're going to thrive like that. Even though they have weapons, they've got to be as balanced as possible. So they're going to have a big performance from Josh Jacobs. That'll open up everything else that they want to do. They're going to need their quarterback, Jimmy G, back, right? I mean, if Aiden O'Connell's out there, then maybe that he gives him a chance. He gives him a little bit of spark because he's young, he's new, he's got a big arm, whatever. And they they go out there and they play hard for him. Maybe that's the case, but I think the best case scenario is Jimmy G is out there for them at the quarterback position, and they've got to get a heavy dose of the run game, which means the offensive line's got to be clicking. Offensive line hasn't been what it was a season ago when they helped lead helped Josh Jacobs lead the league in rushing. It just hasn't been that. And that's unfortunate for Josh. I know he's frustrated. He wants to get started, and he just hasn't. So if they're going to come together, no better time than make it Monday Night Football when the Detroit Lions are hosting you on Monday Night Football when everyone's watching, and they're coming off a tough loss where they're going to smell blood in the water, and the Raiders are coming off an embarrassing loss where they need to show that was just a bad day at the office, a bad day to have a bad day. So I think that it all starts and ends with Josh Jacobs, that offensive line, and having Jimmy G back under center. I feel like that's really the only way that they get this victory on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. What are you looking at as far as the Lions go? What do they have to do to get back in the win column?
I mean, they got to win on first down on defense. I was stunned. Look, you knew Lamar Jackson was going to have a game. I kind of figured, all right, Lions split this road trip and go to Tampa and win, which they did, and then lose to Baltimore. It's not the end of the world. They got lambasted, and they couldn't get off the field. But a lot of it was just, Ravens chunk plays on first down were immense. And the Lions this Monday night have got to just force those 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8s, 3rd and longs, but win and get it started on first down defensively, because it was bad. And you're right, with that crowd, and if you have a rookie quarterback playing, enforcing 2nd and longs, 3rd and longs, I think the Lions can be just fine. Mm-hmm. That's on the defensive side. Offensively, they're not going to have David Montgomery again, but I think I need to see more of Craig Reynolds early as kind of that power back to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs played really well and had his best game, certainly this past Sunday, the rookie who was taken very high in the draft. But I think the Gibbs-Reynolds combo wears down that Raiders pass rush a little bit in that D-line, make Crosby kind of think a little bit more about just pinning his ears back and having to defend the run, which he can do, but that's the two things I see. It's pretty basic stuff. Stop the run and certainly run the football, which has worked for the Lions. But I want to see the ground game, like you said, on your side. Same on our side, just with Reynolds and Gibbs do their thing. And I think the Lions going to be okay. I mean, if we're doing predictions here, I picked the Lions the last few weeks. I know I thought about it last week with the Ravens. I knew that was going to be a dangerous game, but I think Detroit bounces back. I think they bounce back big and win something like 28-10. I truly believe that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that the Lions get this one. As much as I'd love to tell Raider Nation that I think that the Raiders are going to pull the upset in Detroit, from what I've seen, I can't sign up for that. I couldn't say that with a straight face and be like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. I don't see it. And especially because I know that the Lions do want to run the ball. And I just saw Deontay Foreman go off for, a ton of yards, multiple touchdowns against the Raiders a week ago. So that's another challenge that they have. Can they slow down the run? Can they make the Lions one-dimensional, who, oh, by the way, if they had to be one-dimensional, still could, right? I mean, they still could get it done. I honestly don't want to do it that way, but they could. But they've got to slow down the run. They can't just open up the floodgates like they allowed the Bears to do. So, I think that the Lions get the victory. The Raiders hover around 17 points a game. That's just basically what they do. 17 points, 18's been their high as far as the offense goes. Well, actually, I guess 19 was their high, and then they got the safety, so 21. So, so I think that they'll probably lose, I say like 24-17 to the Lions, and they'll drop to 3-5, and Raider Nation and the pitchforks will really come out to fire head coach Josh McDaniels like they're already out there. And, the Detroit Lions will go into their bye week feeling pretty good about themselves, having a chance to rest, relax, heal up a little bit and get ready for the stretch run of the season, and a very promising season that they're having there in Detroit.
And a Monday night crowd, Monday night cameras, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman. Could this be the spot where Devontae melts down and really gets upset, knowing that everybody's watching, to kind of put his stamp on it? Because he's frustrated too. I don't have to tell you that.
Right. And the trade deadline's the next day.
Oh, geez.
Right? The trade deadline's the next day. So you want to get the rumor mills going, right? Go out there and have a bad showing on Monday Night Football if you're the silver and black. And, man, you're going to have every talking head and their mother talking about what's going to happen in the next, 12 hours or so before the trade deadline with the Raiders. That could all of a sudden make that storyline super, super interesting. So we will see. But, man, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'd love to come on here and say that I think that the Raiders are going to bounce back and have a big upset win and feel good about themselves, come back to Vegas and get ready for the Giants. But my gut feeling just tells me that that's not in the cards for Monday Night Football. And so just got to keep it real, right? That's what we do.
No question about it. By the way, check out Q Nights on ESPN Radio. He's doing a great job nationally. It's very cool that you're doing that. Q, appreciate the time, my friend. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always great to catch up with you, man. Enjoy the game on Monday night. And, we'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
You got it. Your boy Q, Matt Dery, Locked On Raiders, Locked On Lions. This has been the Thursday crossover brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Back with Friday shows tomorrow. And, of course, more Mondays. The Lions and Raiders get ready under the lights.